Another night, another low for the Padres. It's been embarrassing, and that's not just us saying it. Obviously, it's Manny Machado who spoke with Kevin Acee. I think he realized he made a mistake yesterday because he spoke with Kevin before the game. It was lengthy. There's a lot of quotes that Kevin published tonight after this loss. He says, yeah, I'm embarrassed how I've been playing. I think we're all embarrassed, but I prefer to hear that than him say he doesn't have any time for, this fan base and for the media. But I mean, what can be salvaged at this point? I mean, what can be salvaged of this season for a team that's 8 games out of the final wild card spot in the National League? If I'm talking quiet, it's because my son is still awake. He should be sleeping. But John and Jim with you here on the Wrap-Up Show. Please subscribe if you are here, year-round exclusive Padres content. Smash the like button for us, even though the Padres have not been very likable recently. You can follow us on Twitter at John Schaefer, at Jim Russell SD. We appreciate the supers. We see them that have already rolled in. Carlos, thank you. Those that have contributed with the super chats, we really do appreciate it. We'll get to all of them. If you want to make sure we see your comment, if you want to support our work, if you want to change the direction or narrative of the conversation, you can always do so by clicking the $ below the chat box. You can become a member, by the way, by clicking the join button down below. But I mean, deja vu all over again, as Yogi Berra would say. Same old story. No run support for Blake Snell, no offense, no life, no fight. And you said this on Twitter, and I think we could start there. Like, do you have faith? Do you have faith that they could possibly turn this around in the final half of the year? I don't know, Jim. It's hard to keep that faith right now. It really is.
Oh yeah, it's at a point of the season with how they've played. With honestly, if you're a fan of this team and you say you've given up, I can't blame you. I really can't. This team has no heart, no soul, no fight. As Manny Machado said, I'll reiterate it. They're an embarrassment. All of the above. Every single thing that you could say about this team. And I've already said it. I said it on, what was it, Monday? I think it was Monday. And put out a video on John and Jim. And it's just plain and simple. They're not fun. They're not exciting. There's no redeeming qualities. They're annoying to watch. It's just frustrating. I mean, does anybody here in the chat get excited to watch Padres baseball right now? No. And honestly, it hasn't really been exciting to watch all year long. It's just been frustrating and annoying. That's what this team is. And hey, if you believe that they're going to turn it around just like that, more power to you, because you must be watching a different baseball team, because the baseball team I'm watching is a team with, just going through the motions at times. No fight. There's nothing there. They're an embarrassment. And it's now, like we talked before this, John, I mean, we might be going a full month, me and you, talking about where should Blake Snell be traded to, and what teams are the best possible landing spots for prospects. We might go full prospect mode here and see who has the best prospects out there that are in contention, and where could Josh Hader and Blake Snell go? Because as of right now, I'm tired of talking about this stupid fucking team. They are annoying as shit, and they're not fun, and they're an embarrassment, and they have no fight, and they're a joke right now.
For me, I mean, here's the thing. For me tonight, the way I feel about it, having watched this and lived through this with all of you over the last 80 games, for me tonight, it's not really pile on night. It's like, this is the night where it all sinks in. This is real.
Yeah.
I mean, this is who they are. So, and that's frustrating, honestly, it's finally come to the point where there's no savior. There's nothing saving this thing. It's not that I'm not going to say it's impossible. I've watched sports way too long to say that. I've seen stupid things happen, and anything is possible. But I've always been a realist. If you guys have watched this or listened to me on the radio, I mean, it's going to take a lot, and it's going to be very improbable.
They're 8
what
games
I was going to
out.
say, they're 8 games out of a playoff spot. But what I was going to say is, here's the thing: if the writing's on the wall for me, if I'm caught with hey, reality hit me in the face today that this is not going to turn out well, I just hope it's hit Peter Seidler and AJ Preller, and they don't do something to chase down something that doesn't exist. This team's a mirage. Mm-hmm. This team isn't real. Nope. This team is fake. This team may have potential if you played 400 games. I don't know, but they're not going to. I mean, they've played 80. So why would it be much different in the final 82? There is no option other than moving Blake Snell and moving Josh Hader, and I'll look at the rest of the roster over the next, handful of days as well and tell you who they need to move. Now, I say that with the caveat that they are who they are right now in 27 games, which is how many games there are between now and the trade deadline. But 27 games, I mean, even if they played well, like 17 and 10, that's really good baseball for the way they've played. They'd be a game over 500. They'd still be well out of a playoff spot. So I think if you're AJ Preller and Peter Seiler, you gotta really look at what benefits the organization moving forward, and you gotta not punt necessarily, but you absolutely need to have one eye towards 2024 because your 2023 team is playing like they're playing for 2024 too.
The writing's on the wall. It's just, can Peter Seiler read that writing and actually understand and know that, like you said, this is who they are. They're fake. They're no heart, no soul. Like, they're just going through the motions, and it would be a disservice to the organization if you weren't truthful with yourself about this year and stop having this false hope that this could be a World Series team. It's just, I don't feel that. And you don't feel that. And I'm sure a lot of people don't feel that as well. And honestly, probably inside that clubhouse, they don't feel that. They might be looking at like, hey, we could, but it doesn't. I have two eyes. I watch, you watch. What do you see on the field? You don't see a team that wants to fight back. They went down 2-0 tonight, and it was like,
And they never scored 2 runs.
that literally was the game.
And it's like, it doesn't matter if it's good pitching. And by the way, tonight they faced really good pitching. Mitch Keller's good, but it's like, okay, well, when you face good pitching, you're not good. When you face bad pitching, if you go down, you aren't good. The Pirates bullpen, you saw the stats, folks, on whatever the channel's name is now. MLB San Diego Padres is the 30th best bullpen in baseball this year. And the bullpen tonight is 3 scoreless innings. Now, I get it. They had a lead, and then it was a large lead. But it really is some deja vu all over again. You've lost. This is the reality of the situation. I see some of the comments coming in. We're going to start with the Supers in 30 seconds. But the reality of the situation is this. You've lost 4 consecutive games to the Nationals and the Pirates.
You're 7 games under 500.
And you're 6.
Oh, 6, sorry.
Is that right?
Yeah, there's 6 games under 500.
They're behind the Pirates in the National League.
Yeah.
But so you're 6 games under 500, but the reality is, don't even look ahead. If you start looking at what they still have to do in the second half of the season and where they still have to go and the trips, don't even do it. Because if they can't beat the Nationals and the Pirates, are they really going to win series against the Dodgers and the Giants and the Diamondbacks and in Philadelphia? I mean, maybe they're capable of doing something that I don't think we think they're capable of doing. Rocket, thank you. If you guys are here, subscribe. We have year-round exclusive Padres content for you. We might hit 5,000 subscribers in the next 24 hours because of you guys. If you wouldn't mind subscribing, if you are here live or on replay, we really do appreciate it. Appreciate the Supers as well. Great way to support the work we do and a great way to make sure we get your comment. Rocket, thank you for your support of this channel. Rocket says, I said it last night, Snell quality start and absolutely any lack of run support. Bad enough I was inhaling smoke in my lungs. At least Manny had time today. He certainly did. You saw the quotes, Jim, in Kevin's article?
Yeah, the embarrassing quotes.
Man, there's even more. I mean, there's a lot of quotes. There's a lot. He just says we got 3 months to do it. There's a sense of urgency. Can we do it?
Yeah, I credit Manny for talking tonight or whenever he talked to Kevin.
Before the game.
Okay. So you're right. I think it was like hey, man.
Yeah, like my bad.
I got you. Like, what do you want? Ask me anything you want type of thing. So I give him credit for that. And
yep, I agree.
And I give credit for Manny for being truthful and being honest here. Like, hey, like this is an embarrassment. It is not sugarcoating it at all. But again, just because Manny, has the, right quotes doesn't mean that he necessarily can be the right guy to lead this team in that clubhouse because none of us are in there. We don't know what's going on in there. And he has had a shit year. I mean, tonight, just again, like there was one pitch he struck out on that was like 7 inches off the
terrible.
Plate. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Not his fault. Terrible by the umpire.
But when you're bad, you're not going to get any calls, and you aren't going to be on the right side of luck at all. You're always going to be unlucky. Like tonight, that bunt. I mean, just
yep.
you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt.
That's right.
When you're a shitty team, it's always going to go bad for you. That's just the way it goes. So, if Manny doesn't turn this thing around by him, like if he doesn't start hitting, it's not going to be a team that's going to win much games. It's just not. They are in a situation where they almost need like a miracle type of finish.
I would say I think it's an interesting word to use because I don't think you're far off. I don't know if it's yet there, but man, it's getting close.
Pretty close.
To
not a miracle, but
not a miracle with literally 80 games. I mean,
everything needs to go right
many.
for them. Everything needs to go right.
Right. And it's not just like yeah, I mean, there really is. There's a lot. I'm talking about everything needs to go right, not just in the clubhouse, but like Preller's got to make the right decisions. Seiler's got to make the right decisions. Bob Melvin's got to make the right decision. I mean, everyone's been accountable for some of the mess that we've seen play out on field. Jim will be back, presumably. Carlos, thank you for a series of supers that are coming in. Carlos is a huge supporter of this channel. He is a diehard Padres fan, and he's frustrated. We get it. So Carlos, thank you. He says, yes, you can blame AJ or Melvin like I have in the past, but at the end of the day, it lies on the players. Nobody thought that this was why am I an idiot? Nobody thought that with this lineup we would be this abysmal. I blame the players. Right now you have to blame the players for like what Bob Melvin said yesterday. Like, you'd think we'd have a little bit more spirit in us when we took a 3-0 lead. Bob Melvin doesn't have the answers. He's trying to say everything to make this thing work. Yeah, I think first and foremost right now it does feel like the players are kind of just content to be in this spot.
Yeah, they're fine. I mean, they're upset, but being upset and it's not going to change anything. They need to go and do it. So yeah, it's on the players 100% here. Manny Machado, Jake Cronenworth, Xander Bogaerts. I mean, everybody on this team offensively besides Tatis and Soto have just been shit. Kim's been pretty good this year. He's been actually better than both Xander and Manny. But I mean, everyone else is just shit. They're shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with Machado. It's like, I mean, he's this like soft 1 for 4 every single night. It feels like, I mean, just no real progress, no power. If Xander Bogaerts had the 2-out RBI hit that made it 2-1 game today, you're thinking, well, maybe that's the hit that gets them going. But no,
you saw from Xander there like a different type of like fist pump. That was finally,
Yeah.
And then when I think Connor Joe hit bases loaded, hit that ball in a shallow center or whoever did, you saw Xander just go, oh,
yeah.
The whole team was just like, oh, it was over.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Pittsburgh that's was 1-12 in their last 13 games, and they've embarrassed you back-to-back nights. I mean, what else can you say about that? I mean,
that's an indictment on your team when you know that a 2-run single with the bases loaded is game over. To make it 4-1 or whatever.
And it was. I mean, 2-0 felt like game over. Carlos, thank you. When whomever was Carlos Santana, no relation, hit a ball 420 feet off Blake Snell. Carlos, thank you. Says they look so indifferent at the plate, nonchalant, no fight, no life. Even when they're winning, it's their BS approach that bails them out with a home run. I mean, we're not even seeing that. We're not. I mean, look at the last 4 games of ineptitude on offense, right? I don't even have them in front of me. Yesterday was a joke.
Saturday, no runs.
Yeah, Saturday, no runs. Sunday wasn't good.
Was 3 runs?
I don't know. They were down 8-1.
No, it was 3 runs on Sunday. It was 0 runs on Saturday because we were there. We didn't see anything.
4 runs yesterday.
4 runs yesterday and 1 run today.
Yeah, it's not good. These are bad teams.
I mean, you're getting your ass kicked. I mean, and here's the thing too. What did I say? The pitching is not going to hold up all year.
Well, the pitching's not going to be unscored upon all games.
I know. You're going to have stretches where you need to pick up the pitching staff. And the bullpen is going through a massive rough patch right here. And you're having guys in there that you have no clue what the fuck they came from. And the offense can't pick anybody up ever.
It's a bad combination.
Yeah.
Carlos, thank you again. He says, still think we can't be sellers. We mortgage our future and we have to play with what we have. Don't see how they turn it around, but can't blow it up yet. I don't see how you can't not be sellers. If you hold at the deadline, and tell me who else would be on a 1 or 2 year deal. But if you hold Hader and if you hold Who else? Snell at the deadline.
What are we doing then?
They literally will never wear a Padres uniform ever again, to the best of our knowledge, unless contract extension talks are going on, and they're not. They'll never wear a Padres uniform again in their lives past October 2nd or whatever the final day of the regular season is. You're going to hold to prove what point? To see, well, maybe this team's capable of going 51-9 down the stretch. They're not. They're not capable of the best 60-game stretch in baseball history. Maybe this team could play 40-20 down the stretch.
No.
We have to be honest. And if you're the general manager, that's your job. To weigh the pros and the cons, to be a realist with what you have. Now, if over the next 27 games they all of a sudden look like a real team and they go, 18-9, we can have that conversation. Absolutely. Then you're not selling. You wouldn't sell if they go 18-9 the next 27 games. I don't know what they would buy, but no, if this continues to play out for the next month, then if you don't sell, I feel like you're being negligent towards the organization, to be honest.
100%. I'm just looking right now at some contracts. Okay.
You got to Kim,
two guys.
Kim.
It's
Kim.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Well, Kim's not an unrestricted free agent until.
No, he's got 1 year left after this deal. I'm saying he's got value. I'm moving players that have value that aren't going to be here in my future.
Okay, then
if I can get something for Hassan Kim, I'd consider it.
I would go Snell, obviously. I would trade Hader, obviously. I think you can get something for Hassan Kim, and I think you could get something for Nick Martinez too. Now, he had a shitty game.
Isn't that a series of 1 year deals? So essentially, they'd be just renting him.
Yeah. So I think you could get, well, he's at club options and shit. So you're a really weird deal. But hey, I mean, you got to try at least to get something here. And I think you could get a pretty good haul for Blake Snell. I think you could get a pretty good haul for Josh Hader. Who knows with Kim and who knows with like a Martinez, but
I think you get a good amount back for. Again, if I'm going to sell Kim, I'm going to do it at the absolute peak.
So who's off limits here? Like who are you?
No, it's not even
trading?
off limits. They're untradeable players on this roster.
Well,
Let's be honest.
You're right.
There are literally, and we don't even need to entertain it. We don't even have to. There's untradeable players on this team, and they're stars.
Yeah.
I think that because so the 4 untradeable / stars. I mean, maybe Soto. Maybe you can put Soto in that conversation.
Do you consider Soto?
We can have an hour-long conversation with it. I don't. I would never, because I can't do that. My fan base has been too good to me. I'm drawing 3 million fans, and I'm not rebuilding.
Man, people would riot, dude. But you got to think about the organization. And
the organization, I got to think about 2024. That's got to matter to me, and he's a part of my 2024. That I know. And I can move him in 2024, by the way, and I can get something real for him, even at the deadline as a rental. I can get something real for him, even at the deadline as a rental. Other than that, there's no. I mean, the Carpenters and the Grishams and the Sanchez's, and who you could move, obviously, is Michael Wacha.
You could move Michael Wacha. Yeah.
Now, again, you're not going to move all. We're not saying you're going to move 7 players.
What about? Yeah, you're not going to do that. But there's options here.
Yeah.
So like Seth Lugo, is he a guy that you can move?
Exactly. Of course. Absolutely. Now, what's the value there? I don't know.
But absolutely, I think Blake Snell and Josh Hader.
I mean, my most interesting, I think for me, the most compelling name, of course, Juan Soto is the most compelling name. Everyone want to talk about it. I don't want to have that conversation. We could have it if people want to. For me, the most compelling name is Hassan Kim. He's affordable. He's only got 1 year on his deal after this. He's really been a good asset that's improved offensively and defensively in his 3 seasons. Do you see him in your future? I mean, you're going to have him here. You're going to re-sign this guy. You're going to give him the Jake Cronenworth deal. I don't see it. So if you're not giving him the Jake Cronenworth deal, then get max value for Hassan Kim. And you can live to see another day. I mean, is that your prototypical right side of an infield, Hassan Kim and Jake Cronenworth? No, it's not. So maybe sell off a piece at a high value and figure it out on the other side.
Here's the whole problem with this whole thing. Is in theory, it makes total sense. But I don't trust AJ Preller to trade for the right pieces. I just don't. And even if he did, I don't trust him to develop those guys at all. I don't. So if he traded for
that's fair.
If he traded for a couple of high prospects from other organizations, I don't trust him to develop those guys to be anything.
What
I
if
just
he's not
don't.
the one developing them? Now you're right, because he might be ultimately the one that makes the trade. Someone has to make the trades, and he's not being let go. But if the Padres make some, I don't know, smart decisions at the deadline, led by Preller's leadership or something. I mean, I'm not moving Juan Soto because it's a lame duck GM. That's another reason. But can I move Hassan Kim and get some
Mhm.
mid-tier, can I get a top 10 prospect or two for Hader and Snell and Kim? The answer is yes. Now, are you going to pick the right players that can perform here? That's a fair point. Jury's
Right.
out. But get these players in-house. If this team doesn't live up to expectations, which it won't, and you make a change, let the next regime develop the players that you traded for. You didn't make the blockbuster Juan Soto top 5 prospect trade that's going to be critiqued for forever. You made
Mhm.
a trade to benefit you in the future, hopefully in 2024, and hopefully the future organization can benefit from that. That's how I look at it.
I agree, but also too, I'm afraid that, like, because they put so much equity into the season with
Mhm.
payroll and trades and everything, are they going to view it as no matter what, we have to try our hardest for the entire season? Like, that is a possibility with this franchise, to the point where even if they're still 6 or 7 out from a playoff spot on August 1st or 2nd, that they're going to still try to be buyers because they don't want to give up. They don't
Yeah,
want to say that this
but
ain't it.
that's such a, and I understand it, and I think other people are going to have similar sentiments. But that is a terrible strategy. Like when your home is underwater, so to speak, I'm talking financially, not literally. You're lost. Like it's not coming back.
Well,
When
I
you're
know. I agree with
it's
you.
it like
I'm
I
just
don't know
afraid
if
of that
they're
happening.
underwater. I'm not saying they're underwater today, but they're getting close to being underwater today. But if they're underwater August 1st, then you're underwater. There's no coming out of it. So it's
I
like
know.
don't be foolish and don't see things the way that others don't see it. Like you almost have to have a consultant come in and oversee the organization. Be like, guys, I mean, what are we looking at here?
So then my next question is, do you trust them?
No, not particularly. I mean, I
So
don't.
you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It'll be heavily critiqued, but I'll say this: I prefer that even a non-trustworthy general manager moves players because I'm still thinking about 2020. I'd rather move players that won't be here in 2024 to help me in 2024, no matter who's making that decision. I mean, you're not going to do worse. You're not going to have the players either way. Why wouldn't you acquire talent if you're not going to have the players either way? Josh Hader is a closer for a team that's 5 games under 500. What value does he have?
That much.
Yeah, exactly.
Closers on losing teams mean nothing.
Nothing. Carlos, thank you. Says, boohoo, Manny didn't talk to Kevin last night. I would be super pissed too and wouldn't want to talk neither. I mean, what do you want him to say? It's fair that, right, what are you asking of him? I think that's fair. I mean, I don't know if you were going to get a 30-minute conversation with Manny Machado last night, but to completely blow him off,
He's the
considering the way
f
the team has played and he's the leader and he didn't talk Sunday, I mean, he couldn't say something like, Kevin, I'm with you. It's unacceptable. And now's not the time. We could talk about it tomorrow, but this isn't good. And, there's something more that you can say than I have no comment when the fan
I don't
base
have the
is,
time.
yeah, I don't have the time. It's like the fan base, it feels like is more vested at times than some of these players are.
You're the face of the franchise and you're the highest paid player on the team. You have to speak when times are tough. It comes with the territory, whether you like it or not. And if you don't speak, you don't speak, but you gotta, like, not come off as just you don't give a fuck. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't give a shit. I
No,
think
neither
he
am I.
absolutely cares,
But you don't want to come off that
but
way.
that perception, man, is reality 7 out of 7 days a week. Like, in the everywhere, perception is reality. And that is the thing with Manny Machado saying what he did. Like, you're coming off as looking like a guy that just doesn't give a shit anymore. And people aren't going to take kindly to that when the team is playing this way and you are playing this way and you say those things. It's going to come off looking really bad for you. So just man
Yeah.
up and just talk. And if you got to say some bullshit answers, say some bullshit answers, but also realize that you're the leader of this team and that everyone takes after your lead. And if you're not talking to the media and you're saying, I ain't got no time and this and like, what do you think the other guys in the clubhouse are thinking? Like, fuck, I got to talk for Manny now.
It's the same thing, like you said, with like Preller. Do you trust him to make these moves? It's like you're screwed either way. If Manny does speak last night and he says something that someone takes exception to, then it becomes a talking point. And we've done it. I've done it with Manny. I'm Manny effing Machado. We'll be effing raking. So he makes a comment and we react to it. He doesn't make a comment, we react to it, and that's Manny Machado. Guess what? At the end of the day, and this may not be fair. It's not. I get it. But at the end of the day, he sleeps on silk sheets. It's part of the business. You take the good with the bad. The good is he's going to be paid $500 million by this organization. The good is he's an MVP caliber player. The good is he could be a Hall of Famer. The bad is he's going to be heavily critiqued at times because of his abilities and his leadership and his qualities and his contract. That's how this thing works. It just is how it works. JD Gaucho, thank you for the super. He says, do you trade with within the NL West if there's a good package? That's an interesting conversation. I think it's a very interesting conversation. I mean, I don't think you lock horns with the Dodgers on anything of substance ever. Could you make a trade with a team like Colorado? Yes.
They wouldn't do that, though.
But,
why would the Rockies do that?
Well, I mean, like, I'll give you an example. Like, you could have some minor, like, who cares? Like, oh, you need a left-handed reliever. We're 17 games out. The Rockies are a bad example. Oh, Arizona needs a left-handed reliever, and you're 20 games out. Here's Tim Hill. Who cares? Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you? I don't. Why? You're not facing each other. I mean, there's no reason not to make that trade if you can get something for Tim Hill from the Diamondbacks that's better than any other team in baseball, and you want to move Tim Hill, then why wouldn't you do it? Are you trading with the Dodgers? Of course not. Are you trading the Giants? Probably not. And like you said, I mean, the Rockies, it doesn't really make any sense. But I'm not like, you can trade with teams in the National League. I think you could trade with teams in the National League West if it was something stupid. You're not going to trade Juan Soto in the NL West. You're not going to trade freaking Josh Hader in the NL West, but you could move some low-level piece.
And here's the thing, guys. I see some people in the chat saying, why are we talking about trading players? They have 27 games to prove that they can be in this and not. That's it. There's not 3 months of the year left. There's a month left before they have to make decisions on the if this team going to go for it or not.
Who doesn't? And I don't even see it. And I guess with 500 people here live, there's some people that think, hey, there's still time, and I get it. It's not over. I'm not putting a fork in it. We're just saying, if you can fast forward 27 games and they're the same team, roughly, then why wouldn't you be talking about trading players? You might say, well, it's a little too early, but there's only 27 games to your point. I mean, what are they going to do?
Yeah,
go 15 and 12?
There's not 3 months left. There's a month before they have to decide.
Yeah, there's 4. They got the All-Star break. They're off for 4 days. They got some off days in there. It's not that many games.
Yeah, and and by the way, guys, they start after the All-Star break on 10-game road trip. 10 games through Philadelphia, Toronto, and Detroit.
That's weird.
They play 4 in 3 days in Philadelphia. Yep. They play 3 in Toronto, and then you go to Detroit, and then you come home, and I think you've faced the Pirates, and then who else did they face at the end of the month? I mean, the whole like soft part of their schedule was they just had it, and they fucking
it was sucked. June. It was remember 17 and 10 month or under 500 now. In 17 and 10 month, I think they are. I think they're a game under. I could be wrong on that.
So I mean, dude, they're July.
Well, who even cares? That's the point. It's like
this is July. Okay, Cincinnati this weekend. They're one of the hottest teams in baseball.
Yeah.
The Angels, and you're going to face Ohtani one of those games.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The Mets is a toss-up because both these teams are frauds. And then you go to 10-game roadie out of the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
And then you come home and you face off against the Pirates team that you just lost a minimum of 2-3 against. And you face off against the Texas Rangers, who are one of the best teams in the American League. And then
so, like, what's a good July? Like, let's be honest with each other. Like, if they were 2 games over 500 in July, that sounds like a pretty nice run based on the way they've played.
And then they go to Colorado, where they can't ever win there.
I could tell you a reason they would lose to everyone. I could tell you, well, they go to Kansas City, they lost to Kansas City. They go to Washington, they lost. I mean, they're not good against anyone. So, I mean, the opponent doesn't matter.
But it's the quality of teams that you're playing. You ain't going to be – there's no schedule here where you play the Royals. I'm not saying that they haven't because they haven't, but the Royals and the A's and then, like, the Tigers here. right?
Yeah,
You're
like there's
playing
not a 10-game homestand that's Royals, A's, Tigers that you circle. And by the way, even if you circle it, they're not going 9-1. The way
no,
they're playing now, that they're not set up to go 9-1
right.
in that theoretical 10-game stretch. They're just not.
But that's my point is there's no stretches like that for the remainder of the season.
And even if there was, it
I
doesn't
know.
matter the way they're playing.
I'm just just whatever.
Retod, thank you. He says, good news. We really kept Hedges in check today. That's something. 4 times Austin Hedges yesterday reached base safely. I think the first time he reached base safely 4 times in the game in 5 years. Today, Jim, the Padres did excellent work during the 2 plate appearances of Austin Hedges. He was 0 for 2. It was a big part of the strategy tonight. Shut down Hedges, and you shut down the Pirates.
That's a good. It's
but it didn't work.
Didn't work. No, I know that on their whiteboard, their keys to victory was shut down Austin Hedges.
Yeah,
so
keep him out of the paint.
Yeah, so they went back in the clubhouse and they checked off on the whiteboard. We kept Austin Hedges in check. I'm sure they all were excited about that.
Oh, I'm sure they were. All right. While we have a moment here, we do need to remind you about our partners here on the Wrap Up Show, including our title sponsor on the Wrap Up Show, Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance. If you're here, by the way, subscribe. If you're here, we appreciate the super chats. Great way to support the channel. If something's on your mind, if you want to vent, rant, you have a question, comment, you want to control the direction of the show, click the $ below the chat box. If you have insurance needs, you have to contact Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance. He's been with us since day one. We can't do this channel without your support, our viewers, and we can't do it without Mark. It's as simple as that. He helped us get it off the ground 2 years ago. He's a great insurance agent. I've got a homeowner's, earthquake, and life insurance policy with Mark. And he can save you $750 or more just by switching your insurance to him. If it's a new policy, he can talk you through it. You can get a free quote online. Auto, home, business, life. He's a San Diegan and a lifelong Padres fan and does business right here in San Diego, California. So if you support our channel, please support our title sponsor, Mark Nimitz. If you want to get to this website and get a free quote, click the link in the description down below. When you call Mark, he'll talk to you about the Padres. You can vent together. He'll do it, I promise. And he will also save you money on your insurance and take it from us. Great service and communication. He will take care of everything. He will save you money. The next time you have a renewal, get in contact with Mark Nimitz. He will save you money.
Yep. All his information is above my head. And Nimitz at farmersagent.com is how to reach out to him. When you reach out to him, let him know that John and Jim from the Wrap Up Show sent you.
All right. So thank you, Mark. Let's get back to some of these supers, guys. Padres lose in Pittsburgh. Another marine layer, gray, rainy night. Pirates 7, Padres 1. The Padres are now a half game behind Pittsburgh in the National League.
That's
now
great.
they're closer to the worst team in the National League.
Right.
And they're closer to last place in the National League than they are to a wild card spot. But not to, again, I'm not even trying. We don't want to pile on tonight. It is what it is right now. And can this be figured out or not? It's your boy. Thank you for the super who says Preller front office should be gone if they want positive changes, new ideas, new way of thinking. Look at Cohen with the Mets. He put his team on notice, either win or they're selling by the deadline. He did say that today. I mean, that is interesting. We talked about the fact that Cohen today said, hey, listen, I'm hiring a president of baseball operations over the GM. That is happening. Mm-hmm. But you're right. He did say, here's the deal. I'm not saying I'm selling today, but if we don't turn around, we will sell off. We will sell off. He literally said that today. Will that work, that tactic? I don't know, but we'll find out.
Do you think we need a Preller comment or something from him?
Maybe Preller, as opposed to, maybe he's in Denmark watching a shortstop field ground balls. Maybe you go to the clubhouse and say, hey, kind of now or never, guys. I mean, do you want me to follow the team around for the next month? Or I'm getting ready for the draft.
Do we want a Peter Seidler?
He's done that before, has he not?
Something.
Has Peter not shown up? We've seen when things got bad in 2021. I think Peter was in St. Louis. Guess what happened? Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. nearly killed each other. So it's not going to save anything, but I think publicly it shows.
That's right.
Hey, they're working on it.
I remember that. Yeah, he made the way to St. Louis. It was kind of like their last stand, and that road trip they got swept by St. Louis, and Manny
it was terrible.
Ripped Tatis' heads off.
And they blew leads in that series. And it was terrible.
Amelia Pagan gave up a couple late inning runs.
Pagan, are you sure?
That might have that was not the Pagan game. I think the Pagan game was against the Dodgers like that
4
week.
home runs.
Yeah, it was just like, what the fuck are we doing here?
But the point is, does Preller need to talk just to publicly angle it's PR 101? Do you need to hear from Preller? Does he need to be with the team? Do you need to hear from Seiler? Does he need to be in the clubhouse? I don't know. We've seen it previously. It's at least something to potentially consider.
I don't think it
Let's
would. I don't think it would hurt. I think that it's. I mean, yeah, I don't think it would hurt. I don't think it would hurt if you got a quote from Seidler, and I don't think it would hurt if you got AJ having a scrum with. I mean, now AC is the only freaking reporter on this trip.
perfect. So this is the week to do it.
So yeah, maybe this is the time. Like, hey, I need to speak. Like, if you're Peter Seidler, maybe he's like, hey, look, I need to drop all my stuff and I need to go speak and I
Well,
need to do something.
that's like Manny. It's like Manny. You need to speak. Like
Yeah,
somebody's got to speak. Someone's got to be accountable for this mess. It's not John and Jim.
no,
I can't make excuses every single night. I can't defend him every single night.
no.
Carlos, thank you. He says Manny being Manny. We know who he is. He's frustrated by how he and the team is playing. AC going on MLB Network to talk about him.
Okay, Carlos, bro.
Screw him. Wouldn't talk. Did that happen? By the way,
Carlos, bro. He was asked a question about Manny Machado. He answered a question about Manny Machado. He's not going out of his way to shit talk Manny Machado. I know that you probably don't like AC, and probably a lot of people don't like AC here. I get it, but that's not. It's not the case here. That's not the case at all. And
but do you think that's why MLB Network reached out? Is that hey, get the SDUT. Let's get the Union Tribune guy on because he had the quote from Manny. Was that the premise of the conversation?
No, AC was on MLB Network before the other night's game.
Oh,
yeah. So I don't think Manny watched Kevin talk about AC on.
Oh, and then he was okay, but maybe I gotcha.
Yeah, like it's not. Come on, he was asked a question about AC, he was asked a question about Manny, and AC answered the question. Like he's not going on there like to say, "Hey, I'm going to shit talk Manny Machado."
Yeah, and he's very measured, man, because we have him 3 times a week on San Diego Sports 760, once with us. He's not overly. He's very cognizant of his words, whether he writes them in the UT, and he'll be criticized at times for some of the things he writes, just like we're criticized sometimes for some of the things we say. But he's pretty measured in his radio and TV hits, in my experience, and it's been years. We've had Kevin on the air for years. I think it's his 4th season doing it.
Right.
Adrian, thank you. Adrian says trade the farm one too many times, lacking juice. Yeah, I agree, and that's why I'm not saying hey go rebuild. I think that's stupid, but to replenish your system because this team isn't going anywhere, I don't see it as a negative. I see it as a positive. You have this weird gap in your system where you got guys in A ball. And you don't have guys in AA and AAA that can contribute. You have prospects that might be able to contribute in the future in A-ball, but you don't have those guys in AA or AAA. Go fill this thing up a little bit, not to mortgage 2024, but maybe to help you in 2024 or 2025.
And here's going to be the fascinating thing is Peter Seidler. Mm-hmm. If Preller goes to him and be like, hey, man, this ain't it. Like, I'm trying to get something for Snell. I'm going to try to get something for Hader. And we're going to replenish for next year. Well, what if Seidler's in his mind thinking, yeah, well, you ain't going to be here next year? Like, how is he going to approach that? Is he going to tell AJ, yeah, absolutely do it? Because what if he trades for guys that the new guy doesn't like? This is such a weird and just
but it's not
good spot for this franchise right
but
now.
Hear me out.
You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Yes and no. But hear me out. If you're moving Juan Soto, great point, because the new GM could say for forever, oh my gosh, that deal with Tampa, I never would have gone for this, that, and the other. These 4 play. You're not trading Juan Soto. Listen, as good as Blake Snell has been, as good as Josh Hader is, they're rentals.
You're right. You're right.
You're getting a nice piece back because these are really nice contributors right now. These are difference makers, Blake Snell and Josh Hader for another team. I'm selling them like they're the best things that have ever happened to a team that's trying to win a World Series, and I'm going to get a nice piece back. Mm-hmm. But I'm not getting everything back for Blake Snell for 2 months. I'm not. It doesn't work like that. You might be able to get, like I said, a top 10 caliber prospect, maybe a little more than that. But I don't think the new GM comes in and says, man, how could you have traded for whomever?
Right. Yeah.
That's how I look at it. You're right. It's not ideal. But what's your alternative? You're going to go get rid of AJ Preller and have Josh Stein make these decisions for 2 months, or hire Theo Epstein August 1st? It doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. I mean, who's available? Jeff Lunau?
Yeah, I know. I get it. I understand. They're yeah.
Captain Ken, thank you. He says, I get optimism and hope, but from what I've seen, there is no way this team goes 51-31 over the remaining season to maybe get a wild card. How many wins they have right now?
37.
So I can submit 88, one less than last year. The wild card right now is pacing for more than 88 wins, even the last wild card. So, yeah, I mean, 600 baseball to be in position to maybe be
20
in
games
position.
over, dude. 20.
20. Yeah, not 5.
And they're gonna have to win so much so many series,
It's
dude.
gonna be, man, it's gonna be the time of our lives if they go on that run.
We're only halfway of this fucking season, man.
I know, it's
This
crazy.
ain't close to. This ain't over. Jesus.
I know. 51-31.
It's either going to be the longest summer ever, or it's going to be the greatest summer ever. There's no in between.
I know. It's like, let's see. So what does that mean though? To equal last year's win total,
52 and 30.
52 divided by 82. They got to play 634 baseball, which is not happening, unfortunately, because that's crazy baseball. Yeah. And they're not playing 634 baseball. I mean, I hope they prove me wrong. But I've asked them, I've kind of questioned them and doubted them and say like, hey, do this. And it doesn't happen. This year, there's no magic touch. Jim's magic touch.
I tried.
He tried. I mean, he made Gary Sanchez work for a week. He made
I turned Soto's season around a little bit. I tried with Manny. I tried with Bogarts. Ain't happening, guys. I'm sorry.
Right. Man, I to be a fly on the wall, to read the emails or the texts back and forth between Preller, Seidler, Grupner, Melvin, whatever this comment, again, Grupner's business side, but you get my point. To really know what's happening, to know the direction and what they're trying to now navigate through would be fascinating.
I would want to see like truly what that clubhouse dynamic is like.
Yeah, that too.
And I mentioned it today on John and Jim. Sometimes you get the wrong personalities together, and it just, for whatever reason, sometimes it doesn't mesh. And we see super teams all the time not work out because the personalities just don't work. I mean, in a vacuum, Manny and Bogarts and Soto and Tatis are all amazing talents. And if they are, each on different teams, they're probably the best players on those teams.
They could all win a World Series this year in the exact right spot.
So to me, it's about maybe the dynamic between those four just doesn't work. And I don't know if it does. I don't know but as of right now, it's not working. And so it's an interesting thing. I want to know just like the dynamic between those four guys, because they're the core four. They're the guys that were supposed to be 1, 2, 3, 4 in your lineup, and just mashing all year long. It was like who gives a shit about what the rest of the lineup does? If these four guys perform, it doesn't matter. But those guys aren't performing, and I just would kind of like want to see how that dynamic is working in the clubhouse. And as of right now, I mean, we all see it on the field. I just don't know if it's working. I don't know if it's working.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons to think it's not working, truthfully. Does it make a ton of sense? Maybe yes and no, and there's particulars to get into. I mean, Xander Bogaerts chose to sign here, but then again, he wasn't getting 280 anywhere else. So, there's pros and cons, and, the pro for Xander Bogaerts might have been $280 million. Obviously, Soto was traded here. Machado and Tatis have played together for, the better part of the last half decade. I mean, since 2019, parts of 5 seasons. I don't know all the particulars. I mean, but you're right. I mean, it's a very real question. Like, how does it all play out behind the scenes, and what are those relationships like? And if they're not genuinely good, is it impacting the way the team's performing on field? And I see all the stuff that social media. Baseball is the most individualistic sport. It doesn't matter. It's not Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade. It does matter. I'm telling you, it does. I get it that only Manny Machado's in the batter's box. I get it that only Xander Bogaerts fields the ball when the ball is hit. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, I promise you, I could argue easily from my experiences working in professional baseball, which I did, that the dynamic is critically important because they're around each other every single freaking second of every single day. In professional basketball, they take days off. LeBron James gets away from his teammates on a Tuesday when they play Monday and Friday. These guys are never away from each other, ever. The relationships and bonds are so particular, and there's real cliques. And this is a real element of the sport. When teams catch lightning like Cincinnati, it's not just on field. It's happening, I guarantee you, in the clubhouse as well. So I'm not saying it always has to be perfect. I'm not saying perfect clubhouse, perfect team. I'm not saying bad clubhouse, bad team, but to pretend like they're completely separate from each other and has no bearing on the success of a team is, I'm telling you, is not accurate.
Yep. There's something there, and maybe these guys just don't work together. Like maybe it's you got a couple guys over here, a couple guys over here, and it's just not a good mix. Because when you think about it, you brought in Juan Soto, who was the leader of the Nationals. You brought in Xander Bogaerts, who was the leader of the Red Sox. Now Tatis, I think he's just too young to know any better, and he could be the leader of a team. But I mean, coming off a suspension year, he kind of doesn't have any room to do that. And then you pair Soto and Bogarts and Manny together, you have three pretty strong personalities there that, if things don't go right, could easily clash. And just one misstep, the whole thing could just blow up in your face, and you kind of are afraid that maybe that misstep already happened, and we're just watching the aftermath of this, meshing not going right.
I mean, it is when you put it that way. I mean, think about this, guys. We can't relate to this. Their combined annual salaries are over $100 million. It's non-relatable stuff, and plus the stardom associated with playing professional sports at this level. Like from FanFest to now, the world has changed. This isn't FanFest anymore. They're in it.
Mm-hmm.
And the dynamic you thought they had at FanFest on some random stage with Don Orsillo, where they say they're going to win 10 straight World Series or whatever, is not what's happening anymore. Things have changed. I mean, Manny and Tut, I mean, they all make $30 million a year, including Juan Soto in arbitration. He's making 20-something million dollars a year. He's going to make $40 million a year, potentially, annually at some point in his career.
Mm-hmm.
This is, what is it? What's it called? Like type A. I mean, this is big time stuff. I mean, the dynamics that are playing out here is not me and Jim and Brent preparing for a show. It's just not. I mean, what me and Brent and Jim do for a show is not WFAN, Mike and the Mad Dog and I mean, it's just different.
Totally.
It's just completely different. And that's how I look at this too. It's like when things aren't going well, to pretend like, oh no, it's not the dynamic in the clubhouse. It's not the individual. No, it very well could be. I'm not guaranteeing that, it's this versus that, but I mean, it's very possible that something's playing out in the clubhouse that's preventing this team from being the team that they should be. That's very, very plausible.
Yeah, and they were all put together. Like Tatis didn't play last year, so what happened? Manny had that whole clubhouse to himself.
Right. Juan Soto didn't even get there until August and was a pup compared to Manny.
Soto came in. Now, it wasn't great to start, but Soto probably took a back seat because he's like, I'm coming into a situation where I got a guy here who's playing like an MVP. So I'm going to take a back seat, and then you not only in the offseason add back Fernando Tatis Jr., but then you add a Xander Bogaerts, who was a guy that was the face of a franchise in Boston, and then Soto for a full season. And then, it's a lot there. It's a lot of personality that, honestly, this isn't fantasy baseball. This isn't like a video game where you just put a bunch of players on one team and all the talent there and like, oh, we're easily going to win. Like, there's a lot of shit that goes on behind the scenes that we don't know about. And there's a lot of shit that like is talked about that we don't know about. Like, who says that these guys like each other? I mean, maybe they do, but there's a lot there that is more than just on the field. And when the off the field shit isn't working, it brings itself onto the field. And you started it, John. It's hard not to put those two and two together to maybe possibly why this team is just shit this year and they're not playing at a level that they need to play at.
And it would truly, I mean, I don't want to believe it. I didn't want to believe it, when I didn't want to believe it a month ago or 6 weeks ago, because you like to think that, well, Bob Melvin as a manager for 2 decades would have the mechanisms in place, or the organization would, to keep them pulling in the same direction. And he was asked about it 2 days ago. He's like, this team will not quit on me. He like point blank. He's like, what happened in 2021 ain't happening under my watch. But some things are outside your control, unfortunately. And I like to think that Bob Melvin is someone that could make this thing work. But to be fair, maybe he can't. And that might not be a reflection on him. I mean, managers have very little role, like what we're talking about, superstardom, hundreds of millions of dollars these players are earning. And you got Bob Melvin, who's been a nice manager. He's had a lot of success, but I mean, is that gonna save a clubhouse? Bob Melvin's not in the clubhouse by his own admission. He's not a hey, I'm in the clubhouse every 2-second guy. That's not who he is.
And you know the difference. The thing is here with Bob Melvin, what he had in Oakland, he does not have here, and that's time with the players on the team. Like he
Right.
in Oakland was there for how long, John? Like over a decade.
Yeah, the 10 seasons, I think.
So he had his guys, and he knew who the clubhouse guys were, who he was going to go to in the clubhouse to see what the pulse of everything. Right.
Mm-hmm.
He had guys that were there for multiple. Like Josh Donaldson was there for how long? Matt Olson, Canna, he had a lot of players on that team that were there for a long time that Melvin trusted. Melvin's been here for 2 seasons, and this is a completely different team than last year. That's not enough time. Do you think that's enough time to develop those things that you need? I mean, maybe it is.
That's a whole nother. And again, it's chicken egg stuff. Now is not Preller because they haven't built the culture from within because they didn't develop these players together and you piecemeal something together. And again, if it works, it sounds great. But if it doesn't, then is it because they piecemealed it together? It's all this. You're running around in circles trying to figure out root causes.
I know.
Is it the clubhouse? Is it their anti-clutch? Is it, you know what I mean? Like we're looking for root causes and you can't really find it.
And the problem is if, like I said, those things take time with this when you're in a situation that you have no time. And that's
the time's running out.
That's the problem is maybe the things that they're missing are developed over time. But with that being said, this team doesn't have that time because the time's going to run out before they can get to that point, and they're going to have to change everything. They're not allowed to have that time because of what they did and what they did in the offseason with the money they spent.
Correct. Okay, there's a couple things I want to get to. I'm trying to do 2 things at once right now. Look, why don't we do this? I just actually pinned it to the top of the chat about our partnership with our friends over at FOCO. I don't know if this will cheer you up or not. It may. They have Padres overalls. And you can't see us, and this probably isn't the greatest graphic. I mean, we probably could have done a better job than just throwing it in the middle of the screen, but I don't know how not to. FOCO has been a great partner of ours. If you use promo code WrapUpShow10 or WrapUpShow10 in all caps, you're going to get 10% off your order. These are available while supplies last. I'm told it's the item of the summer, Jim. And FOCO will be profiling this for National Football League teams in 2023. Padres overalls, not going to be worn on field. I don't believe. Padres overalls are available while supplies last. Click the link pinned in the top of the chat. Use promo code WrapUpShow10 in all caps, WrapUpShow10, and pick up some Padres overalls. Would you wear those to work? Would you wear them on the wrap-up show? Could it turn the Padres season around, these overalls? Maybe if they wore them on field.
If you told me right now, you wore the overalls and the Padres win 12 games in a row, I'd wear them every single day.
Yeah, I'll do that. I would too.
Even though
see if that works.
You win 12 games in a row, you're only 6 games over 500.
Click the link pinned in the chat. Use WrapUpShow10 as the promo code. Get 10% off. Thank you, FOCO, for your support of the Wrap-Up Show. Also, while we have a moment, we do want to remind you about our friends over at Aura. They've been a long-time partner on the Wrap-Up Show, probably about 18 months at this point. And it's a great company. Their co-founder, Will, is a huge Padres fan and a native San Diegan and a big supporter of the work we do and loves this channel and has been a huge supporter. So we thank Will, and we love his products. I've been taking their probiotic for forever now. I really have. I got sleep pills in my fridge. I got immunity pills from Aura, but I take the probiotic every single day for heart health, digestion, mental health. There's a million reasons to take a probiotic. I love the probiotic from Aura. You should be taking it as well. My wife is now taking it as well. Pre-workout supplements, proteins after workouts, omega-3 oils. If you're taking fish oils, take an omega-3 oil from our friends at Aura. Again, sleep pills, immunity pills. Click the link pinned in the chat and you can get to ora.organic. They've got a July 4th sale going on right now, 25% off everything with code USA25. July 4th sale going on right now, 25% off everything with code USA25. You can take it from us. Great way to support the channel. Get healthier. Use the promo code, save money, and check out ora.organic.
Yeah, go there right now, www.ora.organic. They have everything you need to live a healthy lifestyle. Like you said, John, we got a July 4th sale going on. So check them out. If you're having trouble sleeping because you just, this team is annoying you and keeping you up at night, like John said, sleep pills, they're great. If you are having problems sleeping, if you want to work out and you want a good pre-workout, go to Aura. They have a great one, the raspberry lemonade flavor. They got protein powder. It's all organic. It's all plant-based. Go there right now, www.ora.organic. When you pick up some supplements, let us know and thank us later as well.
Captain Ken, thank you again. Thank you for the generous super. Did you know David Sampson? CBS HQ. I mean, he's got 40,000 followers. I'm looking him up right now. Check out David Sampson's comments regarding the Padres today. One interesting theory he brings up relates to Soto maybe being the problem in the clubhouse. Listen, I just went to his Twitter page, and he has a YouTube video, and one of his topics, Jim, is do the Padres like each other, which I think is an interesting topic and one that we're discussing right now. But I haven't watched the video, and I don't know what he has to say about Soto. I have got no clue. I mean, I'm not going to pin it on Juan Soto. I'm not going to pin it on Manny Machado. I'm not going to pin it on I'm not going to pin it on anyone, but we can ask the questions.
Here's what I'll say about David Sampson. All right. Never listen to anything he says about the Padres.
Is that right?
Don't. Because
I don't even know who he is.
He's got a personal vendetta against AJ Preller because David Sampson was the GM of the Marlins when AJ Preller.
David Sampson, yes.
So again, every time that he speaks about the Padres, it is always negative because he fucking hates AJ Preller. So never take his word for anything. Okay. Just don't. Another guy that you can never listen to ever, and I don't even know if he's a real person. We talked about this before.
Right.
Is that Dan Clark guy?
Back a while.
If you are reading tweets about Dan Clark as somewhat fact, you're a fucking moron. Don't ever listen to that troll loser. Even if I don't even know if he's a real person, John.
Right. I agree. Or it's like a chat GPT or like,
I've honestly tried to find like this, like Dan Clark, like who is he employed by? I can't find anything on him. He is this like mystery enigma that doesn't even exist. So whoever runs that feed, if that's even a real person or not, never pay attention to that guy because he's also a troll.
Yeah, you got to be careful. I mean, and I think for those that have listened to us over the last, 4 years in the wrap-up show, watched us on YouTube over the last 2 years, listened to us on John and Jim, we don't do it in absolutes. I'm not like, Manny Machado said this in the clubhouse and Xander Bogaerts responded with this. We're not doing that. That's not the game. But I think what is part of the game is we bring our experiences and backgrounds and our knowledge of the sport and watching the Padres every single day. And you start to kind of theorize on what the hell's going on. And you can question AJ Preller's 9-year tenure. You can talk about Bob Melvin's in-game decision-making. And you can kind of talk about why the Padres have been so lackluster on field. And does any of it relate to what's played out in the clubhouse? And by the way, I'm not the one creating that because Kevin Acee has written about it. John Heyman has asked AJ Preller about it. And now it's become almost a topic of conversation on local sports talk radio and elsewhere. And there's that. I mean, there's that. And by the way, I missed the super that just rolled in again from our buddy Captain Ken, who says David's the former president of Marlins as well. So thank you, Ken, for that. I don't know, for making us aware. So thank you, Ken, for the super there. But again, I don't, I'm not just like throwing it against the wall and seeing if it sticks. I wish that they were 20 games over 500 because it was a lot more fun last year covering this team, and they were 20 games over 500 in September and then good in the postseason. But this is the hand we've all been dealt at this point.
Yeah, we don't come on here and make these blanket claims that we ask a lot of questions about like, well, what is this? What is that? And also kind of the fan perspective of like, this team just right now sucks. Like that's a factual thing. Like we're not going on our show and saying like AJ Preller said this. Like we're just
Right.
you
But
know
we
it's
might be like, should AJ Preller come back if this team doesn't make the playoffs? I mean, that's a fair question, is it not?
mhm. And no, it is totally. Totally.
Let me get to another super here. What do you got?
No. Like like this. I'm just looking on YouTube and someone posted a video like Padres ownership says that roster will be ripped apart if no results in the next 30 days. Like, shut the fuck up. Like that kind
Oh,
of
yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah. See, you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that. And it's like, listen, we are part of that like YouTube ecosphere, and I am glad. And by the way, we're not going to change it based on our comments here tonight. But to lean in so heavily to the
Clickbaity shit.
YouTube as a clickbait element to it, not really the work we do, because we just do night in and night out recap shows. I mean, our headlines are literally Padres 5, Pirates 4, or whatever the final score is of a game. So, I mean, you find it if you find it, if you're searching for Padres. But this whole like Padres will sell franchise and move if they don't finish 5. I mean, you could put anything you want on YouTube, and then, oh my gosh, Padres are going to sell the franchise? And all of a sudden you get all these clicks. But it's like you got clicks based on eating away at your credibility. Like it's a for who, for what type situation that plays out constantly. It's amazing it even plays out in the Padres space, but it does. So it is what it is. By the way, we're not going to change that, Jim, and people are going to get clicks for it. You know, that's the way algorithms work. That's the way search works.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, there's one here that I saw. I was like, oh yeah, this one's great. This one's awesome. This is the most clickbaity bullshit ever. And to their credit, they got a bunch of fucking clicks on it. Juan Soto to be a Padre for life, says his agent. Like, fucking
no, he didn't say that.
No, he didn't. Actually, you're just fucking trying to get clicks, and that's bullshit.
Yeah, it's literally a straight play for clout,
Right?
but it's like fake clout.
Hey, man, do what you got to do, but fuck, dude.
JD's third, thank you for the super. Says 3/4 of the league has vendetta against Tingler Preller. Yeah, Preller's had an interesting relationship probably with other GMs. It's worked. I mean, I don't know. It's worked out okay for him in terms of what he's been able to get. Hasn't always worked out when he gets whatever he gets or trades whatever he trades. It's been an interesting tenure here. It has. I mean, that's fair. I mean, there's been all kinds of. It's been very fascinating. His 9 years. Does he get a 10th year?
He's gone 9 years. He's on his fourth manager. He's on potentially third failures of his like major failures for seasons 2015, 2021, and 2023. One playoff appearance in a regular year and no 90 win seasons and no NL West division titles.
Does he get a 10th year?
And to back it up, not one single player drafted and developed into an all-star through the Padres organization.
Yes, I'll hit him there, and we can have this conversation. I'll give him credit for Tatis.
One guy.
Yeah, and that's why it's not a lot. I'm not going to say, well, he did this, that, and the other. But I mean, Tatis, he had never played professionally.
Right, but that's an anomaly.
And he's also a special guy. I mean, it may be that he needed nothing from the organization. He just needed himself. It's Fernando Tatis Jr.
But every single one of his actual draft picks have all equated to 0 all-star appearances, 0 anything, nothing, like literally nothing. And that's a fact.
Yeah. Guys, as we always say, we appreciate your support of our partners here on the Wrap-Up Show, including our friends at Underdog Fantasy. They've got this 7th inning stretch contest going on right now. You can sign up from now through July 14th. Draft your team. They take care of the rest. There are no waivers. There are no trades. They will set your lineup at the end of each week. There's no setup necessary at all. It is $7 to enter. That's it, $7. You can win part of $150,000 in prizes, $30K to first place. It closes July 14th. If you use promo code PODSWRAP, PADSWRAP, you will get a 100% deposit match up to $100. Promo code PODSWRAP, PADSWRAP, a 100% deposit match up to $100. Again, at Underdog Fantasy or the Underdog Fantasy app. They have daily pick'ems going on. We've shared with you how easy it is to win on the pick'ems, how fun it is to play daily fantasy, whether it's drafting, or pick'ems. If you're going to be playing daily fantasy, do it with our friends at Underdog Fantasy. Go to underdogfantasy.com, use promo code PADSWRAP, and get a 100% deposit match up to $100. Are we still here?
Yeah, I got nothing else, man.
Well, Alex does. Alex, thank you. He says, real bummed about Crony having a terrible season. He spoke today to Kevin, right, or was it yesterday, about this. All-Star last year and easily on the Mount Rushmore of the NLDS series last year. What a letdown. Yeah, he was amazing last year in the postseason, but yeah, it's been a huge letdown. And it looks like a really bad deal right now that the Padres handed out to Cronenworth. Yeah,
bad deal.
A bad deal, and that's a Preller deal that comes. I mean, does that come in his final year? He departs, and he was part of that deal that ties Jay Cronenworth here for the next 6 years after this year. I guess so.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: this isn't just like an outlier season for Jay Cronenworth. He's been in a decline since he came up with the Padres. Every single year has been worse and worse and worse.
Is this one of these things from Carlos where he tries to get me to go off on the tangent or the soliloquy?
Hold on. As lame as this is, I at least get a chuckle out of how much John and Jim belittle Jace at every and any chance for the team's failures. But Bomo with a better team is untouchable.
Tell me you've never watched the show without telling me you've never watched the show. By the way, who didn't belittle Jace Tingler? And it wasn't personal. You were pro Jace Tingler? You thought he deserved another year? No, you didn't, Carlos. And how critical, has anyone been more critical overall of Bob Melvin? I mean, we don't scream every day and say fire him because that's stupid. But we were critical last year of the postseason. We've been critical throughout the course of this recent rut, including in San Francisco, Monday and Tuesday night a week ago, where we literally spent 2 straight shows questioning his in-game managing. Mm-hmm. What would you like me to do? Do you want me to call AJ and say he's got to go and then air it on the radio? Or do it in Chat GPT? You want me? What do you want me to say?
Let me give you AJ's number and you can text him right now, all right?
Seriously, Carlos, what do you want me to say? I'll pull up your next comment. I want you to react to what I'm saying.
Oh, man.
Right? People think the answer is firing AJ Preller in season. Jim, dude, Jim has been the biggest critic of AJ Preller for 3 years. And he's telling you don't fire him in season because he has a reason to say that, because he thinks it's asinine to do it. And we've talked about the reasons. I've been critical of Bob Melvin for 2 years. Anyone that watches this show knows it or listens to John and Jim. I also think you'd be making you're on the wrong path. Just fire Bob Melvin in the middle of the year. That's how I feel.
You're asking for suicide, and you're like, well, hey, they fired Buddy Black in the middle of the year. Well, that was because AJ wanted his own guy in there, and he's a GM, and he was a young GM and still very impulsive like he is now. And regardless, Buddy Black was a dead man walking. So it's like, might as well just get it done now instead of wait this thing out.
Well, yeah, like you said, I mean, but like, okay, yeah, you had a first-year GM. It's like he had some leash to make. He has no leash,
none.
So yeah, whatever. I don't even want to get into it because it's a stupid conversation.
It's not worth it.
It's really not. Okay.
Got nothing else, dude. I'm done. I got nothing else in this fucking team.
Jim's done. All right, we're back tomorrow. Please join us tomorrow, 3:00 on the radio. We'll break down the series finale because the game's at 9:30 in the morning. So join us tomorrow on the radio, 3:00, John and Jim. And of course, you can join us here on the wrap-up show throughout the course of the week. Red Series coming up Friday night. So we're here with you as we now turn the page to the second half of the year and put our attention maybe towards the trade deadline, because this team just hasn't performed, unfortunately. Who would have ever thought June 28th, you're talking about, hey, who can you move at the trade deadline? I mean, that's insanity. That is insanity. So if you're here, like we've talked about, we're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers. We're on our way because of you guys. If you wouldn't mind it, doesn't cost you a penny, hit that subscribe button. We appreciate it. We're within, 40, 50, 60, 70 subscribers of 5,000. So thank you for that. Please subscribe. Please smash the like button for us. You can follow us on Twitter at John Schaefer, at Jim Russell SD. Please support our partners, Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance. John, they fired their manager 50 games into the season. And their manager had a terrible year the year before, by the way, as well. And was anyway, Mark Nimitz at Farmers. It was actually earlier than 50 games into the season, Girardi last year, I think. Anyway, support Mark Nimitz, our title sponsor.
Fire Melvin, see what happens.
Aura.organic. Click the link down below. UnderdogFantasy.com. Use promo code PODSWRAP, PADSWRAP, and get a 100% deposit match up to $100. And if you want those overalls, click the link pinned in the description right now. Use promo code WrapUpShow10, WrapUpShow10, and get 10% off your order. Nothing else to say. Good night. Peace.